I'm going to tackle 3 questions from online church members. The rate of change since the coronavirus outbreak has been so staggering that a lot of conspiracy theories are out there, and many of them are pointing their fingers at certain people that are prominent, like Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci and others like that. So I want to tackle one of the questions, which is about Bill Gates. First, Forbes is defending Bill Gates. They say Bill Gates is now a target of COVID-19, coronavirus, conspiracy theories. Okay, I'm not sure that we're supposed to feel sorry for the richest man in the world and for what he's doing. He's gone from being a technology geek, a nerd, to being a guy that somehow we're supposed to listen to about our healthcare and vaccination and what is the ideal size of the population. It's not really that strange. When people get money, they get power. When they get power, they assume that they can run other people's lives. And this has always been part of the problem, is if we don't submit our lives to Christ, then we really start to dethrone God and try to take the place of God. And this is why there's suffering in the world. Now, this article does a bit of a sleight of hand. They say, conspiracy theorists are claiming that Gates somehow created this pandemic. Actually, I don't know anyone that is overtly saying that Gates released the coronavirus. I don't think that's what they mean. I think what people are concerned about is his reaction to a real virus, a real threat. No one's saying that there's no virus. Okay, viruses exist. But what we want to look at objectively is, how does Bill Gates propose to deal with this? Okay, I think that's fair to ask and fair to answer. Personally, I've not said very much about Bill Gates. You know, I left Microsoft a long time ago. I know a lot of people are still on it. I just didn't like my computer getting infected. I didn't like the clunkiness of Microsoft Office. I just don't use it. I really much prefer Apple, and you all see my computer on YouTube. I'm not trying to advertise them. I'm just saying I don't really think much about Bill Gates. The last tweet that I posted about Bill Gates was on the 18th of April, and I said, with due respect, the man who couldn't stop a virus from infecting Windows is fighting an uphill battle to persuade me that he can stop coronavirus with a vaccine that he owns or funded. If anyone without a biology background has a shot at this, Apple iOS would be my pick. No virus. Let's go through what's happened in such a short time. The knock-on effects of China's coronavirus may be worse than thought. I mean, the ripple effect of what's happened in this one place, Wuhan, has been a disaster of biblical proportion. One of the first things that happened that we'd never seen before was a total lockdown, a total ban of China. America said the Chinese cannot come in to America. Then there was a flight ban from Europe for 30 days. Recently, Trump has ordered the U.S. to stop funding the WHO as it reviews the agency's role in what he calls a covering up of the spread of the coronavirus. He said that they took money from China and then they gave a very China-centric, rosy view and applauded China for what they did. But really, we all know that China actually disappeared some of the whistleblowers and some of the dissidents. And this is not the kind of behavior that you want to have of a very strong, large nation on the world stage. Next, Donald Trump says that U.S. green cards are to be halted for 60 days. Again, all from coronavirus. Because of the tremendous halt in travel and economic activity and businesses and schools shutting down, there's less demand for oil. And so oil, on the 20th of April, did something unprecedented. It went to zero, and then it went to nearly negative 40. That means they're paying the buyers to take the oil off their hands. So coronavirus gets blamed for everything. It can even be blamed for oil prices. The joke now is on Twitter is that a man falls off a cliff, dies of coronavirus. Anything and everything is now being blamed on coronavirus, and I think it's a very easy scapegoat. Anthony Fauci has proposed the idea of Americans carrying coronavirus immunity cards so that they can open up the economy and then they could travel and they could do things. Obviously, this sounds pretty scary because it reminds anyone who knows the Bible of the Antichrist system, where you cannot buy or sell unless you have an approved mark. This is no longer theory because Chile is going to be the first country to start the controversial coronavirus immunity card system. Then, in such a short period of time, again, blame coronavirus, 2 giant tech rivals, Apple and Google, who used to be at odds with each other, suddenly come together to work on contact tracing, another word that we've learned, contact tracing. But even though this is such a concentration, such a monopolistic concentration of power, people are still not satisfied because guess what? Not everybody can be traced through their phone. One of the things that journalists who root for globalism complain about is, quote, "We already know that Android smartphones in China would not be eligible for the new technology framework. Google software and services are banned in the country." This is why, by the way, this is why God created different sovereign nations. We're not supposed to be under one globalist control because anybody who thinks they can rule the world is going to be an evil tyrant. It's going to be a dictator. You can't make everybody the same. Everybody's got a different culture, different preferences. God made nations. He did it intentionally at the Tower of Babel. The article in Forbes continues, "We also know that Huawei phones released post the US blacklist last year will also be ineligible for the same reason." And this impacts users outside of China who bought Mate 30s and P40s. So they're saying, we're ready for the global control. We're ready for contact tracing. We're ready to give up our privacy. But our complaint is they're not going to be able to do it to everybody yet. This is a complaint that comes from Europe. You know, Europe has always been fascinated with global control. Both world wars were started by Europeans. Europe has never had more than 100 years of peace at a stretch. Europe was called by the founding fathers of America a continent of eternal wars. They're always causing wars. And they have this idealistic, romantic idea that the Romans created Pax Romana. If you study history, really Pax Romana is a farce. Life under Rome wasn't as rosy as people think. There was constant war, constant taxation, constant oppression, very brutal punishments, and near dictatorial power for Caesar. So it's not surprising to me that France urges Apple and Google to ease privacy rules on contact tracing. Government becomes first to call for invasive measures in an effort to combat coronavirus. France has become the first country to call publicly for Apple and Google to weaken privacy protections around digital contact tracing. So you can see where this is all leading. So this desire to control the population and to monitor their every movement is no longer something out of a fiction novel like 1984. It's no longer something of conspiracy theories. It is something that governments are overtly saying they desire. And they're enlisting the help of private corporations, big tech giants who could enable them to fulfill the beast system that's predicted in Revelation. But they keep hitting snags because there is no perfect system. There's no perfect way to control everyone. Not everyone has the same phone. Not everyone uses Android or Apple. So what are they going to do? Here is where Bill Gates come in. Because Bill Gates had something ready and he just filed a patent on it a few days ago at the end of March. And the conspiracy theorists are asking, does Microsoft own patent 666 about implanting microchips in people? And again, the left-wing media roots for the left-wing billionaires. So in this article by Snoops, they said that they fact-checked this, and they say that the claim is mostly false. They say Microsoft published a patent for a cryptocurrency system using body activity data. This patent is filed under the number WO2020 060606A1. So what's false? The number contains 3 sixes, but it is obviously not the same as 666. This patent focuses on tracking body activity via wearable technology, such as a smartwatch, and makes no mention of implanted microchips. Well, before you believe the fact checker, we're going to fact check the fact checker. So how are patents numbered? It says very clearly here that patent numbers may contain a combination of several pieces of information. It will usually contain the year that the patent was issued. Other letters that would appear would be, say, US, because the patent was issued in the US, or WO if it was issued by the World Intellectual Property Organization. So then you come back to the patent number. Now you can read WO stands for World Intellectual Property Organization. 2020 stands for this year. And guess what's left? 060606. A1 might be a class or an instance of their application, but their application is 060606, which in numerology you can ignore the 0. It is 666. Does that make Bill Gates the Antichrist? Not necessarily, but we're going to read the Bible and compare what is the Bible trying to tell us. This certainly would be a very suspicious kind of technology if it were released. So Bill Gates or Microsoft owns the patent for a new cryptocurrency system whose number is 666. And not only that, it is biological. Snoops is not correct to say that it is a false claim because it says in Google Patents, here is the abstract of Patent 666. Human body activity associated with a task provided to a user may be used in a mining process of a cryptocurrency system. So he wants to control buying and selling through digital currency, but he doesn't want to use the very expensive electronic mining system, which depends on calculations and consumes a lot of electricity. He actually wants it to be a part of your biology. It reads here, listen to this, a sensor communicatively coupled to or comprised in the device of the user may sense body activity of the user. So remember the article said, oh no, this has nothing to do with chipping. It only has to do with a device. Wait a second. The patent says a sensor coupled to the user may sense body activity of the user. And this would be activity that's assigned by who? Body activity data may be generated based on the sense body activity of the user. The cryptocurrency system actively coupled to the device of the user may verify if the body activity data satisfies one or more conditions set by the cryptocurrency system and award cryptocurrency to the user whose body activity data is verified. Do as we say, and if we verify you did it, we will give you digital money. This is scary stuff because it sounds just like the mark of the beast. We'll just read it in Revelation. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand and on their foreheads, that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark of the beast or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. So a man is coming whose number we are to calculate. Remember, we have to think about it. It's not like it's written on his forehead, hey, I'm the devil, I'm the Antichrist, 666. I was born on the 6th of the 6th of a year that's ending in 6. It's not going to be obvious because the Bible says, he who has wisdom, calculate. Well, we just took the time to look at the WO patent issued in 2020, whose number is 060606. We needed just to calculate that in Gematria, and we reduce it to, or we can simplify it to 666, because we don't need the WO and we don't need the year 2020. We all know it's the year 2020.